Okay, welcome back everyone, and to everyone online. Thank you. And we're going to talk now or hear from Leanne Reynolds. So she lives up in Bristol. She's experienced the trauma of losing two of her students. So as again, I'll just give you that warning that obviously we may tackle some subjects which would be difficult. And if anyone needs to leave the room, then please do. So if I can welcome up Leanne Reynolds.
Evening, everyone. My condolences goes to the family and friends of the young man. So my journey began October last year, where I've worked in education and healthcare for about 20 years. And last year I lost a second student to knife crime. So I went out into the community of Bristol and stood up and decided to start a campaign, which is Bristol Knife Bin Campaign. And I approached the Crime Commissioner, Mark Shelford, and asked for funding because I realised that all the knife bins were predominantly in police stations. And I was finding that the young people I worked with wouldn't hand their knives over because they wouldn't go into a police station. So I was heard, and I've managed to get funding for 8 knife bins, which are coming out into the community this year. And I've also been campaigning to get bleed kits, which will go across all of Avon and Somerset, which is to save a life, and do workshops for young people to actually teach them if they are in that situation where this happens. A lot of them will run because they don't know what to do. And sometimes a bleed kit could actually prevent that life while you're waiting for an ambulance. So I have the Bristol Knife Bin campaign on Facebook, and I am campaigning that all parents start searching their children's bags when they come in from school and when they're in their bedrooms, because I'm finding that a lot of parents, these children have knives and they're not aware of it. And you will find that you may think it's the boys, but it's also the girls, because they're actually being introduced to it, and they will take the knife home and hide it, and then they will bring it back out for the young men. So it is out there. Bristol, we have a big problem at the moment with knife crime and with gangs. So it's from different postcodes, and they are carrying the knives. And when I'm asking them, please put them down, or let's go to a knife bin and hand it in, I totally understand they're not going to do it because the opposition has got a knife. So they're like, if I give it up, I'm left with nothing. So I'm potentially going to put my life at risk. But I'm asking the young people and the parents, search the rooms. If a knife is found, go and take them, put it in a knife bin, try and get support. Now with young people, if anyone gets to hear it or can join the campaign, there is a website that has been specifically set up by Avon and Somerset Police, and it's called fearless.org, where you can actually report anyone carrying a weapon, and it's totally confidential. You don't have to give your name. They're not going to find out who you are. So I would suggest that people start calling in. If you know someone's carrying a knife, it's going to go one way or the other. So to prevent this, I suggest that they start making phone calls and doing it confidentiality so that no one knows who they are, and letting the police know so that these knives can be retrieved. And hopefully prevention is better than cure. So yeah, if you'd like to join me on Bristol Knife Bin campaign, if any organisation or parents wish to come along and support, I'm looking for all the support. We'll get bleed kits out there. We'll get workshops out for the young people. And we'll start educating them. This is not the way to go. It's not very nice, and the following process will be quite traumatic for everyone.
What I do want to reassure, obviously, what Leanne's describing is, the situation in Bristol, which is a large urban centre. Say we get the kind of postcode gangs there that are very developed and have been there for lots of years. What we're hopefully experiencing in Radstock is an absolute tragedy. The important thing is to take in the message that kids out there may be exposed to knife violence, exposed to other people carrying knives. From our experience, it isn't that every kid in the hood is carrying knives. So I don't want you to have that fear as you leave here. What I would advise is that vigilance that Leanne's talking about. Know what your kids are doing. Be confident that you know what they got in their rooms or in their bags, what they carry into schools. And it isn't as simple as, I know my kid's getting involved in violence, so I got to keep an eye on them, whereas my kid isn't at all, so I don't need to worry. A lot of it these days is there's education on YouTube and places like that, which are all about getting other people to carry weapons or drugs or things like that. So it's have that awareness of what's going on in your children's lives. Be mindful and cognizant of issues going on, which may be something where they're being threatened or bullied or things like that, especially if it's within groups. I think very much, from what I understand of the local picture out here, it's more groups rather than what we would look at as gangs in your large urban cities. So, the majority of the times it will just be a case of groups squaring off, and unfortunately got the additional message of social media and the fact that it's easy to have a pop at each other and try and escalate and create that little ongoing duel, which can be quite exciting for the young person at that point. But obviously this can go too far, and obviously from a policing point of view, what we're trying to make sure is that what we're seeing overwhelmingly from the kids that are out here this evening and over the last few weeks, it's real sorrow, real shock, real trauma. It's not a game. It's not let's go and fight and let's go and square up to each other. And it's about combating that and realizing, the trauma that's left behind when these things happen. So my message would be, don't be afraid that, all your kids out there are carrying knives or anything like that. Be mindful, be aware, be alert. Look for anything which makes you think, I'm not happy with, who my kids are associating with, where they're going, or even that I don't know where they're going or who they're associating with. Try and have that awareness and care and understand where they're going, and try and be as open as you can with them and give them the opportunity to speak to you, or signpost them to Fearless. Remind them that those knife bins are there if you fear that they are carrying knives. Say it may not be you that they feel most confident in speaking to, but they can also come to the police. Anything they tell us will be anonymous unless they're making a crime report. So if they're giving us intelligence that someone's carrying a knife, it isn't going to be shared. And again, the sort of urban myths around grassing and mustn't tell people about what's going on. It's really important that as parents and professionals that we keep combating that idea. If someone is unsafe, if someone's in danger, this is the time where you can do something to support them. And again, for yourselves, even if it's your own child, if you hear something that frightens you about their planning to do something, then it's really important you tell us. And it has been really heartwarming, the amount of calls and information we've been getting recently with, people sharing their fears and what they think they've heard or what they think might happen. And it gives us an idea to go out and hopefully stop those things from coming to fruition and ruining people's lives. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time. I just wanted to add as well, I mentioned at the start of the talk about Youth Connect Southwest and their page supporting Radstock. If you go into any of your preferred search engines, look up Youth Connect Southwest, you'll find the page. It will have the recording from tonight if you wish to access any of that, but also some of the phone numbers and whatever that we discussed this evening. So hopefully that will be of some help to you. Thank you to all the speakers. And thank you for everyone for turning up, and for those online as well. So thank you.